Hey everybody, it's Scoots. I'm filming videos while there's demolition going on 2 doors down from me, and I can't record an episode. So I'm answering some question corner questions. You can post your questions wherever you're watching this video. Most likely, the best place I'm going to see it is the free post we do on Patreon. So if I'm not linked to it, just go to our homepage and look up this video. But I will try to answer them if I see them on other social media. Looks like we got 3 questions here. Chris A says, what TV or movie would you love to do an episode of series on, but can't because the content would be too hard to make sleepy? Good question, Chris. I don't know if there's any ones I want to do, because nowadays I do tests. So we tested Buffy a few years ago, actually. And it just wasn't... just seemed like it was going to be too much work. Like we've done Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, but those were in different eras of the podcast where the intensity of the feedback, listener expectations are just different. I guess that's the reality of it. But I thought we probably could do Buffy, but it just doesn't seem like it'll work. Just too much left. I'm thinking about doing, like, as part of subscriber summer, or what cutbacks we're going to make on the free show. I'm thinking about doing another test again with X-Files. But again, that's not a promise or a teaser. It's just something I'm thinking about doing. Other than that, there's really hasn't been much. Right now, we don't have any open spots, so it's like Great British Bake Off. We're working on the end of Mandalorian. Then I'm going to work on the end of... We have 2 more episodes of Great British Bake Off to record from the season. We already did most of it. Then after that, I'm going to move on and work on stuff for the Patreon subscriber summer. So maybe that'll be X-Files. After that, we'll probably start recording episodes of Lasso Season 2. And then after that, probably... Doctor Who. Another show I was thinking about is Mrs. Davis, but that also has some intense stuff. But a little bit less than Buffy, so probably easier to steer clear of than Buffy. But yeah, that's that. Let's see. Jacqueline says, blowing my mind, you found a way to use SleepPhones to record content. So I don't use, actually, Jacqueline, I'm only using the headband, not the SleepPhones themselves to record. Just the headband. I take the speakers out of the headband and put in microphones into the headband. But yeah, so they won't help. The SleepPhones themselves are not able to record. I just am using the headband to block the wind on those headphones. Lenny says, has Antonio Banderas ever reached out? Antonio and I strictly I've never heard from Antonio or any of Antonio's people. It's just a thing where he shows up, records the things, and leaves. So I've never heard from Antonio. I don't know if he's aware of the podcast. And I also don't even remember how the whole thing started. Have I ever considered an all Antonio episode? No. Those clips, it would be to pay an editor to go in and find those clips and take them out would cost, it would blow your mind how much money that would cost. Or even if I was to do it, the amount of hours it would take. And then even like if we were thinking about it moving forward, just that amount of time, believe it or not, to make those cuts and do that export, it's just something like the podcast is really tight on time, and I factor a lot of that stuff in. So yeah, just we haven't considered doing an all Antonio episode, and I don't think that for recording it, I think that Antonio works best just as just in the context. Right now it's perfect, and it's not perfect for all listeners. There are some people I hear about that aren't, but it's just a part of the show. It's one of my favorite parts of the show is stuff like that that's managed to stick. despite it not making a whole lot of sense. So, yeah. Thanks for the questions, everybody. Post your questions for Questions Corner, wherever you see in this video or on our Patreon. Thanks, everybody.